being as fast as the best riders in the world, but never winning a world championship. This is the story of Dani Pedrosa, the unluckiest MotoGP rider of all time. The quiet assassin, the guy who could outrun physics, but not fate. Was he injury prone, or just too good for luck to keep up? Let's find out. Born in Sabadell, Spain in '85, Pedrosa was a small shy kid with two working-class parents that gave him every opportunity they could. His dad worked days, his mum nights, and every weekend, the family would travel around with a mini bike and a van, taking Dani to events. At 9, he's already in the Spanish mini bike championship, and the stopwatch is saying what he won. He's f***ing quick. But he's quiet. He doesn't peacock for cameras, no speeches, no chest thumping, just laps and clean ones at that. By the time most kids are wrangling long division, he's learning how to carry corner speed without chewing the front to pieces. Everyone that saw him race agreed. The future was his for the taking. In '99, Dani entered the Movistar Activa Cup, a national talent promotion series in Spain for young riders. He became one of 3 selected from a pool of around 6,000 to join ex-MotoGP rider Alberto Puig's junior team. This was a big deal. Puig's junior team was like a cross between a scholarship and an academy where the best of the youngsters were given factory-level bikes, training, and mentorship. It meant he entered Puig's hand-picked, sponsor-funded setup that groomed riders for MotoGP. In other words, it's the reason Pedrosa even got a shot at world-level racing. Lucky little guy. Dani made his debut in the 125s in '01. By '03, he was leading the pack and took the world title with 5 wins, 223 points, and 2 rounds to spare to become the youngest 125cc world champion in history. In '04, he made the jump to the 250cc's, and despite limited testing because of ankle injuries, he still managed to snag the title come the end of the season, again becoming the youngest world champion for this class in the process. He backed that up with another title in '05 before finally getting the message he'd been waiting for. Hey Dani, it's Shuhei Nakamoto calling from Repsol Honda. Whoa, shit. How's it hanging, my dude? I'm a big fan, how you doing? Yeah, good Dani. Listen, would you fancy racing with us in the big boys next season? Oh, say no more? That's a dream come true. Where do I sign? Well, you can start by liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. See what I did there? Nah, but in all seriousness, by now you should be getting the picture. This kid was cracked out of his mind, and it was time to enter the big leagues. Alberto Puig's ties with Honda made the move happen. It was Dani's moment to shine. And what can I say, Dani's first year on the 4 strokes in '06 was nothing short of madness. He'd win his first race of the Chinese GP after starting on pole, would go on to win the British GP, and would finish the season with 8 podiums in 5th place as Rookie of the Year. His teammate Nicky Hayden, well, he'd go on to snatch the title from none other than this man, already 5-time world champ by then. Imagine the party Repsol Honda would have had. Would have been absolutely bonkers. What a year for the team. But in saying all of that, we need to look at the fine print for Dani. He had the speed, he had the titles in the lower classes, he had the seat with Honda, he had everything he'd need for a title run. Only he'd shown he could pick up the injuries too. You can call it physics, you can call it bad luck, you can call it the tax for riding a f***ing motorbike when you weigh less than the fuel load. Whatever label you like, injuries were starting to arrive at pivotal moments. And naturally, they were about as welcome as a turd in a hot tub. The kid was being robbed of any rhythm, and champions live off rhythm. Dani had to keep rebuilding his from scratch over and over, like the previous hit never happened. In the next few years, they proved to be straight up cruel.
Titanium Pedrosa, get well soon, we are with you. That's from Sete Gibana. The message, of course, to Dani Pedrosa, the 125cc world champion, who underwent a few operations in Melbourne after breaking both his ankles in the first free practice on Friday morning.
'07 set the tone for what was to come. Casey Stoner and Ducati run the table, but Pedrosa keeps things honest. He wins at Sachsenring by a mile, then closes the year by winning Valencia, and still wraps runner-up in the championship. You don't fluke your way to P2 in the Stoner Storm. That's class, that's consistency, that's title capable written in every split. But consistency has a kryptonite. It's time. The longer a season runs, the more chances there are for something dumb to happen. And 08 proved that point in a single afternoon. Pedrosa rolled into Sachsenring sitting second in the World Championship, just 16 points behind Rossi with 8 races still on the board. He'd been solid all year. Podiums, pace, zero bullshit, and the title fight was on. For once it felt like the universe wasn't actively trying to shove him into a medical tent. Lights go out and Dani does what Dani does. Drops the hammer and off. By lap 7, he's over 7 seconds clear at the front. It's looking like the moment, the turning point, the shut up and give me my crown performance. And then, the sport reminds him where he is. Gravity, physics, and fate all say hello at once.
Only down, and there's no way he's going to pick up that.
That looks pretty bad. The damage? Fractures in the left wrist and index finger, along with an ankle sprain. Wrist surgery follows. Laguna gets scratched, and the points disappear like they're stuck in quicksand. Before the crash, the title fight was alive. After it, Dani's chasing shadows. Rossi went on to podium every remaining race, winning 6 of them in the process, while Dani could only manage to snag a measly 78 points. He was 124 points adrift in P3 come the end of the season. The lesson? You can be the tidiest rider on earth, but it means nothing when your wrist won't grip and the calendar won't wait. 09 opens under floodlights, and more bad news. During the Qatar test, he goes down again. Left knee and wrist problems, meaning more surgery and more missed testing. This is the kind of shit that ruins the rhythm I was talking about earlier. Heading into the season, he's heavy. He's resetting while everyone else is properly gearing up. It takes him 8 races to bag his first win of the year. He picks up his second in the final race at Valencia to finish P3 once again. Sure, he had 11 podiums in total across 17 rounds, but when Rossi picks up 6 wins with 13 podiums across the season to take the championship, it just ain't gonna cut it. I can only imagine the frustration Dani would have had too. He was quick enough to challenge Rossi and Lorenzo in front of him, but it was the little moments that kept getting in his way. The crash in Teston at the start of the season, the crash at the Italian GP where he fractured his femur, the crash at the Dutch GP on lap 1. The telemetry says yes, the sector times say yes, the racecraft says absolutely yes. The only thing saying no is his biology and its awful sense of timing. You can swap tires, you can swap chassis, but you can't swap wrists or ankles. And if a rider like Dani, light, compact, precise, loses a weaker strength in the arms or the ankles, he doesn't just lose power. He loses the margin that makes his style unbeatable. By the end of 09, it all starts to feel kinda unfair. The guy's doing his job. Most weekends he's right there. But the result sheet keeps getting messed up by stuff you just can't wrench into place. And then comes the stretch that I'm sure still haunts him to this day. When the bike's good, when the form's clean and the window yawns open again. Wider than ever. But if you thought the last few years were bad luck, the next ones, oh man, you ain't seen nothing. 2010 kicks off with optimism. The Honda's quick, Dani's body's mostly in one piece, and he's carving podiums like his routine. Wins at Mugello, Sachsenring, and Indianapolis keep him right in the hunt. Could this finally be his year? Well, the universe has a dark sense of humor. Ouch, that'd f***ing hurt. And what do you know? Broken collarbone, surgery, and Dani's title hopes gone once again. This crash was a turning point. Up until now you could laugh off the unlucky tag, but it had stopped being funny. Everyone had begun to wonder if Dani's bike had some sort of personal vendetta. He ended 2010 in P2 overall, and honestly, that's a miracle given half the paddock thought he wouldn't even make Valencia. Then comes 2011, and with it, another round of let's see how many bones we can snap before summer. Broken collarbone again, second time in 2 years. He misses the next 3 races. By the time he's back, Stoner's long gone in the standings. Dani still wins 3 rounds before the year's out, but it just isn't enough. To be fair to him, there's one thing people forget. He never complains, never asks for pity. He just shows up, suits up, and rides through pain that'd have most of us bawling like Catelyn Stark when Rob gets the dagger. And if that spoiled something for you, then bad fucking luck. The show's been out for years. Basically, if you ever wanted to know what mental toughness really looks like, it's Dani Pedrosa. Then comes 2012, the year where he has everything to win. The bike's dialed in, he's healthy, and the field's wide open. Dani wins 7 races. 7! More than anyone else that season. He's hunting Lorenzo down for the title right into the business end of the year. And then, you can already imagine what happened.
And that's Pedrosa being taken down!
Hector Barbera collides with him at turn 1, and Dani's on the deck before the race even starts. Lorenzo takes the W and the title gap balloons overnight, but he doesn't give up and fights back. He wins Aragon, Motegi, and Sepang, the next 3 races, while Lorenzo annoyingly finishes second in all 3 as well. Heading to the Australian GP, he was only 23 points behind. Mathematically, it was still possible. But Phillip Island had other ideas.
On the hairpin, not this time. Pedrosa very strong on the brake. Pedrosa is down! Dani Pedrosa is down!
No f***ing way. Again. Meanwhile, Lorenzo finishes P2 in the race, and with it, the title. And Dani, he stews over yet another missed opportunity. To be fair to Lorenzo, he was absolutely cracked that season. 18 races, 6 wins, 10 second places, 2 crashes. How about them apples? If there was ever a season that summed up Dani's whole career, it was this one. Smooth as hell, crazy fast, but when it came down to crunch time, a day late and $1 short. You couldn't script it if you tried. Pedrosa had bad luck down to a science. Injuries, missed chances, or someone else just going full beast mode and nicking it right at the line. From that point onwards, it was, let's say, a quiet fizzle. 2013 started well enough with a win on home soil in Jerez. He followed that up with a win at Le Mans in the rain. And for a minute there, the standings said what the eyes already knew. Dani's the guy to beat. Then, I don't even need to say what happened next.
Oh, huge high side for Pedrosa, the championship leader. Straight away.
Collarbone cracked. No race on Sunday. Seriously, this isn't even remotely normal at this point. It's starting to feel like a tragic comedy. How can someone be this unlucky all the time? He grabs another W at Sepang, but it's same old, same old. Dani's always been there or thereabouts when the season hits crunch time, but when a title fight turns into a medical report twice in 3 months, you don't need a press conference to figure out how that ends. 2014 was the Marc Marquez show. That kid just drove around like the Roadrunner. Nothing could catch him. He bagged his second championship, making it back-to-back titles. In 2015, Dani grabs a couple of wins and a couple more podiums, but it's only good enough for P4 in the championship after he got surgery for an arm pump injury that flared up again earlier in the season. And then Marquez just continues dominating through 2016, 2017 and 18 as he grabs 3 more titles, making shit look way too easy. After picking up wins here and there throughout this period, Pedrosa was finally starting to show his age. I think we all knew the curtain had closed on his chance for a title. He'd had his good days, he'd had his bad days, and he'd had his chances to snatch that elusive world championship, but it was time to hang up the leathers. On the 12th of July 2018, the announcement lands. Dani Pedrosa is stepping away from racing at the year's end. No tantrum, no sympathy tour, just a quiet exit. Now that you know his story, let me throw some figures at you. 221, the number of MotoGP races he started. 112, the number of podiums in those races. 31, the number of wins in his MotoGP career. And 1,000, the number of what-ifs stapled to every season preview fans lived through. These are stats worthy of a title, no question about it. So with all that said, here's the thing that gets people shouting in pubs. Greatness isn't just about the championships. Sometimes it's the guy who could've, should've, would've. The one who still showed up razor sharp every season, but just couldn't get the dice to land his way. People love to say luck evens out. Yeah, maybe for coin tosses. For Dani, the coin just kept landing on the same fucking side. If it wasn't a high side, it was a throttle jam. If it wasn't a crash, it was a bone that decided to tap out mid-season. It was like he was unfairly tested and even cursed every single year. Dani Pedrosa was on the podium more than half the time throughout his career, and he will undoubtedly go down as the unluckiest rider of the modern era, if not of all time. Appreciate you being here, and as always, thank you for watching.